Love presents a fundamental threat to everything avoidant individuals have built their emotional safety around. While others might experience love as warmth and security, avoidants experience it as a dangerous vulnerability that threatens their carefully constructed emotional defenses. The very feelings that others crave become sources of terror and discomfort for those with avoidant attachment patterns. Love feels like losing control. For avoidant individuals, falling in love means losing the emotional control they've spent their lives perfecting. Love creates feelings they can't rationalize away, needs they can't suppress, and desires that contradict their self-image as emotionally independent. This loss of control over their internal emotional landscape feels threatening and overwhelming, making love feel more like emotional chaos than romantic bliss. The unpredictability of loving feelings also conflicts with the need for emotional stability and predictability. When they love someone, they can't control when they'll miss them, worry about them, or feel jealous. These involuntary emotional responses feel foreign and uncomfortable to people who've built their identity around emotional self-regulation and detachment. Love requires vulnerability they can't handle. True love demands the kind of emotional vulnerability that triggers every avoidant defense mechanism. To love authentically means revealing fears, needs, and insecurities that avoidants have spent years hiding from themselves and others. The emotional exposure that love requires feels like emotional suicide to someone whose survival strategy has been emotional self-protection. Love also requires trusting someone else with their emotional well-being, which contradicts their fundamental belief that emotional safety can only come from within. Allowing someone else to have the power to hurt them feels reckless and dangerous, making love feel like a threat to their basic survival rather than an enhancement to their life. Love creates unwanted dependency. Avoidants pride themselves on emotional independence, but love naturally creates emotional interdependence that feels suffocating and threatening. When they love someone, they begin to need that person's presence, approval, and affection in ways that contradict their self-sufficient identity. This emerging dependency feels like weakness and creates panic about losing their autonomy. The realization that they've become emotionally dependent on another person often triggers intense urges to withdraw and create distance. They may start pulling away precisely when their feelings are strongest, not because they don't care, but because caring feels too dangerous to their emotional safety system. Love triggers abandonment terror. Paradoxically, the deeper avoidants fall in love, the more terrified they become of abandonment. Love makes the potential loss of their partner feel devastating rather than manageable, creating anxiety about a future they can't control. This abandonment terror often leads them to withdraw preemptively, choosing to leave before they can be left. The intensity of their love makes them acutely aware of how much they have to lose, transforming every relationship conflict into a potential threat of abandonment. This hypervigilance about loss makes love feel more like emotional torture than romantic fulfillment, explaining why many avoidants unconsciously sabotage relationships when their feelings become too intense.